Imagine that somewhere there's a version of you living a completely different life, facing unique challenges and victories. And now, that version of you is trying to send you a message. But how can you tell if these signs are real? In this video, we'll dive deep into Buddhist teachings to explore the possibilities of communication between parallel realities. This video could change the way you see reality. We'll show you subtle signs you may have been overlooking, but that could reveal a deep connection with another dimension of your existence. Want to know how this can help you live more consciously and in alignment with the universe? Then stick around. In Buddhism, there is a belief that the reality we experience is only a small fraction of the whole. Life is a cycle, and the concept of samsara suggests that there are many versions of our existence. But how does this relate to parallel realities? When we think of multiple realities, we're talking about different versions of ourselves, living in different circumstances. The theory of parallel realities isn't just science fiction. Every decision you make creates a branching path. In one of those branches, you're living a completely different life. And what's even more fascinating is the possibility that these versions of you are spiritually connected. Buddhist tradition teaches us that the flow of vital energy is constant and isn't limited to one dimension. So, it's not hard to imagine that our energy could manifest in different ways across multiple realities. The state of enlightenment, or nirvana, can be achieved by recognizing these multidimensional connections. Meditative practices, which are common in Buddhism, help expand our consciousness. During meditation, many people report visions or sensations of different realities. Could these be manifestations of communication with parallel versions of ourselves? In Buddhist wisdom, these sensations may be seen as the mind transcending the limits of our current reality. The feeling that there is something beyond our physical reach is deeply rooted in Buddhism. After all, the cycle of life, death and rebirth is a part of this philosophy. It's possible that the messages we receive, whether through intuition or dreams, are a form of communication between dimensions. If we look at ancient texts, we'll find subtle references to parallel worlds. The Buddha himself, at certain points, talks about the multiplicity of existences. He suggested that the path to enlightenment involved understanding and accepting all these facets of reality. So, for those who practice Buddhism, being mindful of these signs may mean getting closer to achieving a deeper understanding of the universe. Ancient wisdom gives us the tools to open our minds and perceive these invisible communications. Each déjà vu, intuition, or dream could be a way for our parallel selves to guide us. The key is to keep an open mind and explore these sensations with a spiritual and conscious approach. Buddhism offers us the path to do just that. Have you ever had a dream that felt so real that you questioned whether you were still dreaming when you woke up? Or maybe you had a feeling that you knew what was going to happen next, like you'd already lived that moment before? These are some of the most common signs that a parallel version of yourself might be trying to communicate with you. In Buddhism, dreams hold deep meaning. They are seen as a reflection of the mind, but also as a window into other realities. When we dream, our conscious mind relaxes, allowing more subtle connections to surface. It's in this state that we often receive messages from our parallel selves. Intuition is also a powerful channel of communication. In Buddhism, the practice of mindfulness teaches us to be present and to listen to our minds on a deeper level. This practice can sharpen our sensitivity, making it easier to recognize when we're receiving a message from another dimension. These feelings can manifest in very subtle ways. For example, you might feel an inexplicable pull towards a certain place or person, as if you've already experienced it before, Or, when faced with a decision, you might feel like you already know the answer, even though you're not sure why. This communication doesn't happen directly. Our parallel versions don't physically appear to us. Instead, they send us signs that show up as feelings, sensations, and mental images. Recognizing these signs takes practice and attention. The more in tune you are with your inner self, the easier it will be to identify when these signs are emerging. And Buddhism offers various tools to cultivate this awareness. Often, these messages show up at times when we need guidance the most. It's as if our parallel version knows the challenges we're facing and tries to help, sending signs that can guide us in the right direction. So, next time you have a vivid dream or a déjà vu, pause for a moment and reflect. It might just be an important message from your version in another reality. In Buddhism, intuition is seen as a form of innate wisdom, and learning to listen to it can be transformative. Be patient and persistent. The messages may be subtle, but with practice, you'll learn to perceive them more clearly. The phenomenon of déjà vu is one of the most fascinating signs that may indicate communication with your parallel self. In Buddhism, déjà vu can be interpreted as a flash of consciousness, where the veil separating different realities lifts for just a moment. It's as if, for a brief instant, you're in two places at the same time. These experiences are common and often inexplicable. You walk into a room or talk to someone, and suddenly you have the feeling that you've already lived that moment. But what if, in another reality, you actually have? In a different dimension, with slight or even major differences, that situation has already occurred. Your mind, sensitive and connected, picks up on this overlap of realities. Déjà vu are particularly intriguing because they seem to defy the linear logic of time. In Buddhism, time is considered an illusion. Everything happens simultaneously in a vast web of causes and effects. This opens the possibility that these déjà vu moments are flashes of communication from a version of you in another timeline. As part of a spiritual practice, recognizing and embracing déjà vus as opportunities for introspection can be deeply revealing. It might be that in these moments your parallel self is trying to pass along a message, a suggestion for the path ahead, or even a warning. Many modern Buddhist scholars suggest that déjà vu could be a form of perception beyond the ordinary, where the mind transcends rational logic and touches a higher truth. Instead of dismissing these experiences, we should pay more attention to them and ask, what is my parallel self trying to show me? In Buddhism, there is a trust in intuition and experiences that go beyond the physical. Just like dreams, déjà vu are a window into other realities, a reminder that life is much more than what we perceive with our five senses. When you feel a déjà vu, treat it as an opportunity for reflection. In the end, déjà vus can be considered a form of guidance. It's a sign that you're in tune with a greater reality and that you can use this connection to make wiser, more conscious decisions. In Buddhism, this awareness is one of the keys to the path of enlightenment. Remember, déjà vu are just one form of interdimensional communication. The more aware you become of yourself and the present moment, the more often you'll notice these signs and be able to interpret them meaningfully. Meditation is a central practice in Buddhism and a powerful tool for accessing dimensions of consciousness beyond the everyday. When we meditate, we create space in the mind to connect not only with our inner self, but also with other versions of ourselves. During deep meditation, many practitioners report feelings of being in multiple places at once, or even in different realities. These moments aren't just coincidences. Buddhism believes that by quieting the mind, you can access planes of existence that are usually out of reach. By focusing on your breath, Buddhist teachings, or a state of deep contemplation, your mind frees itself from the limitations of the physical body. In this state of freedom, it's possible that your consciousness interacts with your parallel versions, exchanging information and subtle messages. Meditation provides the mental clarity necessary to notice signs that might otherwise go unnoticed. These signs can appear as thoughts, images, or sensations that seem to come from outside your immediate self. By embracing these moments, you open the door to deeper communication with other dimensions. Whether it's déjà vu, an intuition, or a fleeting image during meditation, these signs are attempts at communication between you and your alternate versions. In Buddhism, the concept of interconnection is central. Everything is connected, including the different facets of your being in multiple realities. The power of meditation lies in its ability to transcend the logical and rational mind. Through meditation, you move closer to the state of nirvana, where the separation between realities begins to dissolve, and the interconnection of everything becomes clear. By practicing meditation regularly, you strengthen your ability to receive and understand messages from these other realities. As you deepen your practice, start paying special attention to the messages that come up during or after meditation. What seems like a passing thought might actually be a hint or guidance from a version of you in another dimension. These messages are always subtle and never direct, which requires growing sensitivity to interpret them. When it comes to interdimensional communication, one of the biggest barriers we face is the rational mind. Our Western culture teaches us to only believe in what we can see, touch, and measure. But Buddhism challenges us to transcend these limitations and trust in intuitive wisdom. The rational mind can be incredibly useful, but it can also prevent us from accessing other realities. Many times, we dismiss sensations, dreams, and intuitions as mere coincidences or products of the imagination. But by doing so, we miss the opportunity to connect with something greater. In Buddhism, it's common to find teachings that encourage us to let go of rigid logic and embrace the unknown. After all, the quest for enlightenment involves transcending the ego, which is often upheld by the rational mind. By breaking free from this attachment to reason, we open up space to experience a broader reality. This broader reality includes the possibility that other versions of ourselves are existing simultaneously in different dimensions. To communicate with these versions, we need to let go of doubt and disbelief that often hold us back. Buddhism teaches us that faith in something greater than ourselves can be the catalyst for great spiritual revelations. To overcome the barriers of the rational mind, we need to cultivate a disciplined spiritual practice. Meditation, studying sacred texts, and silent contemplation help weaken the hold that the logical mind has over our perception. These are the moments when we open ourselves to the unexplainable. One of the great challenges in receiving messages from your parallel versions is trusting them, even when the rational mind tries to argue against it. As you begin to notice patterns, déjà vu, dreams, and intuitions, it's important to believe that these communications are real, even when the mind tries to rationalize or dismiss the experience. Over time and with practice, you'll see that your faith in your own intuition will grow. Interdimensional communication will become clearer and more evident. The doubts will start to fade, giving way to certainty that you are indeed in contact with parallel versions of yourself. Buddhism teaches us to live in the present moment and to trust in what we feel in that moment. There's no need to rationalize everything we experience. By freeing yourself from the constraints of the rational mind, you'll find a smoother, more connected path to the multiple realities that coexist with yours. This video has provided an intriguing perspective on how messages from a parallel version of yourself might be trying to reach you. As we've seen, these signs can manifest through dreams, intuitions, and feelings of déjà vu. Buddhism teaches us to be aware of these connections and to cultivate an open mind to understand what the universe is trying to tell us. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like.